Animal Collective's 8th studio album, Merriweather Post Pavilion, was released in 2009 and is a continued defining work in music at large and to me personally. Welcome everyone back to my channel. Today I'll be celebrating the 15th anniversary of one of my favorite albums of all time, Animal Collective's 8th studio album, Merriweather Post Pavilion. I'll be going by track in this review, every song, and I'll even rank all the songs on this album from worst to best, in my opinion. Merriweather Post Pavilion was the band's second album on UK imprint Domino Records. They were signed to the label Fat Cat Records since their album Sung Tongs. On January 6, 2009, the band changed the face of indie and experimental music forever by releasing this mesmerizing record. I'm doing this review also as a redemption review for my 2021 video, aka one of the worst videos I've ever made, where I just list off the track listing and say vague things like how cool the gatefold is, and I just don't put any other input into the songs at all. This album is important to me, not only for being one of the first albums I reviewed on this channel, but also one that formed my love of music in the recent years. It is one of many released in what I consider the greatest year for indie music, 2009. Now you guys know I just put out the Dirty Projectors review. That album was released 5 months after this, and yeah, both of them are fire. The band signed to Domino in 2006 and released their album Strawberry Jam the next year, which has become one of my favorite albums from them. While that album has more eclectic production and song structure with electronics, but more stripped back in some aspects, this album has more spacey production. It's more dreamy and breezy. It's still noisy and a little bit eclectic, but part of the real beauty of this album is inspired by the band's drummer Panda Bear, aka Noah Lennox, who pioneered neo-psychedelic music and sample-based electronics on his 2007 record Person Pitch. Also notable here is key member Deacon was not present for the recording of this album for personal reasons. So this record is the band as a trio, Panda Bear, Avitair, and Geologist. And how did it turn out? Well, one of only the greatest psychedelic pop albums ever made, at least to me. The key to opening your mind when listening to a challenging record like this is to soak it all in. Try and listen to it unafraid of something different or challenging, because it's not something that is easy to take in at first. Think of listening to this record for the first time as the same as riding a bike or getting behind the wheel of a car. It's a scary new experience, but if you trust yourself and have full control, you'll come to understand and enjoy it. This is an album that challenges many mainstream listeners, not just because of the complexity of the music, but because of how hard the lyrics are to understand on first listen. I would definitely say that a lot of this boils down to how open your mind is to more experimental music as far as enjoying a lot of this record. I made a playlist on Spotify called Beginner's Guide to Animal Collective, so if you guys are curious on the rest of the band's sound, you can check that out. I'll leave it linked below. Also, I'd recommend the live album Ballet Slippers, which is a compilation of songs they did on the tour in support of this album. Now comes the fun part. Time for my track review of all 11 songs. Here we go. The record kicks off with In the Flowers, a spacey piece of synth pop with a galactic glitchy drop that transports you into the world Avitair, real name Dave Portner, is singing about. The track starts out with a lot of exotic bubbly samples that descend as lyrics about reuniting with a lost lover swell. The Find the Dancer refrain continues as the track builds to its swelling finish. It's a song that can be jarring if you haven't heard any of this band's other music, especially the drop that I previously mentioned. It's a song that's grown on me as it's become a top 5 favorite on the album. Next up is My Girls. If you know this album or band, you probably know them because of this glitzy and hazy pop tune. Panda Bear takes the reins on this song, as this is one of the first songs written for this record. In fact, the band had been performing it live on their Strawberry Jam tour under the titles Proper House and It Isn't Much. The repeating keys and echoed vocals of Lennox give off a haunting feeling as the glittery synths and beat break through with a light, danceable atmosphere. This was one of the first songs I heard from this band, and it's one that just captured my imagination as soon as it was done playing. Lennox said he was inspired by his recent marriage and moved to Lisbon, Portugal when he wrote this song. While it's not a song I will put on repeat, I find it to be one of the most important experimental pop cuts because of how successful and influential it would become. Following that song up is Also Frightened. Like with the previous track, My Girls, there's an air of mystery with Also Frightened. As with all the songs on this record, they fade into each other well. The track expounds upon the anxieties of life as its repetitive lyrics sell the mood of restlessness. This track is the perfect bridge from the first quarter of the record. The production is very breezy, but also has a jungle and tribal vibe to it, as some songs coming up will have. Also Frightened is a song I don't know if many will love on first listen, but it's one you come to appreciate the more you give it a chance. Summertime Clothes is up next, and here we have a song that was my favorite on this record for the longest time. It's still top 3, but Summertime Clothes is, yes, summery and warm, but also cold and calculating rhythmically. The song is undeniably catchy as Portner and Lennox trade off vocals all throughout. The samples that Geologist programs at the beginning might sound like a water park from LSD Hell to some at first, but really are core to the track as a whole. The swelling synths and guitars that come through paired with the bouncy beat will put a smile on any listener's face. Summertime Clothes will please any fan of psychedelic music, Beach Boys and Beatles fans, but those looking for a trippy rave because it's all good fun. On the next track, Unsung Beauty is what ties Daily Routine to the rest of these tracks, a gorgeous piece of psychedelic synth pop that can truly bring a tear to my eye. The vulnerability in Lennox's vocals here are hard to deny. The song starts out with heavily arpeggiated keys that speed up and slow down, ultimately going into a clapping beat with an extended vocal performance from Lennox, as previously mentioned. The ending portion of this record lies the true beauty as hazy synths consume the track and the manipulated vocals fade in and out as the synths reach their climax. When you first listen to this album, details like this can be easy to miss. Daily Routine has risen up my ranking over the years, even entering into my top 10 favorite Animal Collective songs, so please give this one a chance. Next track up is Bluish, and the more I listen to this song, the more its adorable lyrics leave me speechless with a tear in my eye. This song was written by Portner, who wrote it about his wife, now ex-wife. It's a very intimate song that gives nods to the clothes she wears. On the chorus, put on the dress that I like, and getting lost in her curls, meaning her hair. It's a type of intimacy in songwriting I feel like we don't hear nowadays. Everything tends to be so cerebral or sexual when writing about love. Sometimes love can be cute and focused on the simple things. I love the washed out synths and samples that Geologist, real name Brian Weitz, as well as Portner and Lennox lay down here. Also, some guitar comes through as well. Bluish is probably one of the easiest to love songs here, so I hope it's one you check out. Next up is Guy's Eyes, and this is a tough one for me to rank. I like the track overall, but there's not a lot for me to say about it. I like the nod to the Beach Boys and other psych pop bands of the 60s, and its atmosphere is unmatched. I say it's just the most forgettable track here. It kind of just repeats a bit too much, although again, Noah and Dave's vocal chemistry is unmatched here. And I do like the cataclysmic ending with the wonderful spooky jungle flute sample, which leads me to my favorite song, Taste. Underrated. Why does this song not get more love? Euphoric, gorgeous, otherworldly, unspeakably catchy, atmospheric. I am running out of adjectives to describe my love of this song. From a lesser favorite to my number one favorite song on this album and a top 2 Animal Collective cut ever for me, Taste is a remarkable piece of music from start to finish. I think the fact that this track, along with Guy's Eyes, are 2 of the shorter cuts is why it's not held in higher regard. This song transports you away to another planet and dimension, with a rollicking percussive beat and bubbly synths, along with the manipulated vocals that transcend new heights. Portner and Lennox poke fun at the music industry's knack for criticizing artists, holding on to their influences, and their taste in music. I already said how much I love the samples here, as this part of the record starts to lean more into its more jungly and Afro-pop influences. The haunting flute meshes with the otherworldly production better than ever on this track here. Please, I urge you to listen to this song Taste. It's amazing. Next up is Lion in a Coma. Lion in a Coma. What a wonderful sentence, and what a truly beleaguering song this is. One of the strangest but most charming songs I've heard, weirdly enough. The lyrics Portner and Lennox have since confirmed are complete nonsense, but I love the way they are used here in service to the bonkers production. The track, metaphorically titled for Lying in a Coma, get it? No? Okay. Is one of the most wonderfully chaotic things about it. We get off-the-wall samples, manipulated and pitched up vocals, fluctuating rhythms, and a very hypnotic beat that borrows from different forms of African and Portuguese music, like the use of the jaw harp to open it up. Lion in a Coma is a jarring cut at first, but one that I think many can come to love. Second to last track here is No More Runnin', which is Portner's time to shine as far as beautiful songs here. It's a scaled back piano pop cut with light flutters of synths and a snappy beat. The track is breezy and dreamy and is a nice touch as it's stuck in between 3 climactic cuts. The track is about facing one's fears and standing on your truth in many ways. It might not be the most memorable song on the album, but it is a touching and beautiful moment that perfectly wraps up the album until Brother Sport, completely throwing off whatever mellow beauty was on the previous cut. We get one of the single greatest closing tracks, a 6-minute, head-spinning, mind-melting dance track. This song is probably one that is most like Lennox's 2007 album Person Pitch, airy and echoey vocals with fuzzy synths and beats that bubble and then become chaotic as the strange sample and bass drums come crashing in. The track is another play on words, as a take on support your brother. Get it? Get it? Which would, this type of using titles as like metaphors would become a common theme for Animal Collective on future records. This song is so mesmerizing, enthralling, and one that you really just have to listen to. It might take a couple of listens to get into, but it's one that you should definitely hear firsthand. A defining cut that ties in the aesthetic and themes of this amazing record. Alright, there's my track-by-track review, and here are my songs ranked from worst to best. My least favorite track here is Guy's Eyes. It's still good, but like I said, not one I have a lot to say about. Next up is No More Runnin'. Again, one that is nice when it's on, but again, not really one that I come back to. Same with Also Frightened, but this song I really do love. My Girls, shockingly, is up next. I do love this one, but like I said, not one I come back to or can have on repeat. Lion in a Coma is one of the ones that grew on me the most. Again, I love the samples. The adorable Bluish comes in at number 6, and my top 5 favorite songs on this album. In the Flowers, the great opener. Daily Routine, one of the most beautiful tracks here. Brother Sport, the amazing closer. Summertime Close, the fun romp. And the criminally underrated Taste as my most favorite song on this album. If you saw one of your favorite tracks here in the lower tier, please remember I love every single one of these songs. They all range from 8 out of 10 to 10 out of 10 in my eyes. I think the reason why Merriweather Post Pavilion is such an impactful and resonating piece of art is because of how technically tight it is. Is it their weirdest album? No, not by a long shot. Hell, Strawberry Jam and Centipede Hurts, the two bookends of this album cycle, are both weirder. And even their earlier records make this sound like Hotel California, but it's an album that still hits hard, even on repeated listens. I urge everyone who watches, if you've never heard this album, to give it a listen in celebration of its 15th anniversary. As for me, this undisputed masterpiece is a perfect record, a 5 out of 5 for this classic. Thanks for watching. Please like and comment, subscribe. Let me know what you guys think of Merriweather Post Pavilion. Please listen to the album if you've never heard it, and re-listen to it if it's been a while. I'll leave those links below that I talk about the playlist and this album, and have a good day. Bye.